Welcome back, deep divers. Today we're going to be peering into the future, well, the future of your customers, that is, with these things called predictive personas.
Sounds a little spooky.
It is kind of like having a crystal ball, I guess. But instead of telling your fortune, it helps you figure out what your customers are going to want, maybe even before they do.
Interesting.
And we're basing this deep dive on a really cool article called, let me see, Predictive Personas. Holy combo of data, machine learning, predictive analytics, and AI.
Catchy title.
It really is. Nisha Srivastava wrote it, published
Yeah.
on Medium just this month. And,
Hmm.
before we get into the nitty-gritty of how it all works, maybe we could talk about how predictive personas are already playing out in the real world. I bet our listeners are already experiencing it.
Oh, absolutely. They're probably interacting with predictive personas every day without even realizing it.
Exactly. Like with Netflix. You know how it always seems to know exactly what you're in the mood to watch?
Right. And how about Spotify? It's like they have a direct line to my brain when they curate those playlists.
It's uncanny. So both Netflix and Spotify are using these predictive personas, right?
That's right. They analyze your viewing or listening history, your ratings, what time of day you're most active.
So they're gathering all that data and,
Yeah, they use it to predict what kind of content you'll enjoy, even if your tastes change over time, which, let's face it, they always do.
oh, totally.
No.
So it's not just about giving you personalized recommendations. It's about predicting how those preferences are going to evolve over time.
Exactly.
Now, this isn't just happening with movies and music, though, right?
No, definitely not.
I mean, the article highlights how all sorts of companies are starting to leverage these predictive personas.
Hmm.
And it's not just about, giving people personalized recommendations. It's about so much more than that.
It really is a fundamental shift in how businesses understand and interact with their customers.
Exactly.
Mhm.
There's this one example in the article. It's about this global fashion brand, I think they were called. Let me see.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, so they noticed that their typical, what do they call them, the trendy shopper, who is, all about fast fashion, was starting to show signs of evolving into a more conscious consumer.
They were seeing more engagement with the brand's eco-friendly lines, more buzz on social media about sustainable practices. It was a subtle shift, but a significant one.
Yeah, they were picking up on those little cues, those signals in the data that indicated a shift in values and priorities.
Exactly, and it's something that traditional market research might have missed.
But the company, they didn't just sit back and watch. They actually did something about it.
Yeah, they took action. They launched new marketing campaigns, even new product lines that specifically targeted this emerging conscious consumer, emphasizing sustainability and slow fashion.
So they got ahead of the curve, adapted their business to meet the evolving needs of their customers.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. The article also mentions this e-commerce platform that realized their discount hunters were starting to become more value conscious.
That's interesting. They were still looking for deals, obviously, but they were also showing interest in premium brands.
Yeah. And sometimes they were even like making full price purchases. So it's not that they didn't want good value, but their definition of value was changing.
Right. They were willing to pay more for quality, for sustainability, for brands that aligned with their values.
And how did the company react to this shift?
They did a fantastic job, actually. They adapted. They started offering personalized loyalty rewards, began promoting those higher quality products to these shoppers, and they closely watched how those full-priced items performed.
So they essentially said, okay, our customers are changing and we're going to change with them. We're going to help them make that transition.
Precisely. And by doing so, they probably increased customer loyalty and lifetime value in the long run.
Makes sense. And then there's this travel company. And this one I thought was particularly interesting. They noticed that their usual budget backpacker, the ones who were all about hostels and cheap flights, they were starting to show signs of wanting something a bit more, how do I put this, upscale.
Yeah, like they were evolving into luxury explorers.
Luxury explorers, that's it. I mean, it makes sense, right? As their income grows, people naturally want to spend a little bit more on experiences.
Right, their spending patterns revealed a growing interest in nicer accommodations, more unique travel experiences.
Exactly. So did this travel company just sit back and watch these customers fly off to fancier destinations?
Absolutely not. They recognized the opportunity and took action.
Tell me more.
They got creative. They started offering these tiered travel packages, offering kind of a smooth transition from budget-friendly options to their more luxurious ones.
Cool.
They also used retargeting ads to show those tempting upgrades, those exclusive destinations, They also highlighted the benefits of their loyalty program, earning points toward premium stays or first-class upgrades.
So they essentially created a pathway for those customers to level up their travel experiences as their preferences changed.
Exactly. They anticipated the shift and met their customers where they were heading.
Really smart. So these are just a few examples, and I think what's so fascinating is how diverse they are. We have a bank helping their savers become investors, an apparel brand shifting their customers towards sustainable shopping, even a healthcare chain encouraging more fitness.
It really highlights the point that this isn't just for tech giants. Predictive personas have the potential to transform businesses of all shapes and sizes across any industry, really.
Okay, so we've seen the magic, but how does it all work? We'll be back to break down the three-step process behind this incredible technology.
The data, the machine learning, the AI, we're diving into it all. Stick around.
You won't want to miss it. All right, deep divers, let's pull back the curtain and take a look at how this predictive persona magic actually happens. I'm ready to get a bit technical here. How about you?
Absolutely, but I think you'll find it's more straightforward than it might seem.
Okay, good. So the article breaks it down into a nice three-step process. Walk us through it. What's the first step?
It all starts with data. That's the foundation of the whole thing. And that's where customer data platforms, we call them CDPs, come in.
Okay, CDPs. I've heard of them, but honestly, I'm a little fuzzy on what they actually do.
Think of it like a central hub for all your customer information.
Like a massive digital filing cabinet.
Yeah, that's a pretty good analogy. They pull data from everywhere. Your CRM, your website, your apps, social media, even offline interactions. It all gets pulled together in one place.
So it's not just about collecting the data, it's about making sense of it all.
Exactly. The article really stresses the importance of data quality. You need those skilled data professionals to ensure that everything is accurate, properly categorized, and ready for analysis. It even mentions some of the top CDP platforms out there. Salesforce, Telium, Treasure Data, maybe some of our listeners are already using those.
Okay, so we've got our solid data foundation. What's next? What happens in step 2?
This is where the real magic starts to happen. Step 2 is all about machine learning and predictive analytics.
Ooh, now we're talking. I'm picturing like a self-driving car, but instead of navigating roads, it's navigating all this customer data.
I like that analogy. We're essentially teaching a computer to think like your ideal customer.
Hmm.
These machine learning algorithms, they analyze all that data and they start to identify patterns.
So it's like connecting the dots, but with customer behavior.
Exactly. They use a bunch of different techniques. There's clustering, which is basically grouping customers with similar behaviors together. Then there's predictive modeling, which tries to forecast actions like the likelihood of a purchase.
So that's how those, you might also like recommendations work online.
That's right. It's called a recommendation system, and machine learning makes it all possible.
Wow. So the algorithm is spotting these patterns, making these predictions. Then what? Do we just like sit back and watch the sales roll in?
Not quite. It's crucial to have those real-time insights and visualization dashboards. Imagine seeing those trends emerge as they're happening.
Ooh, I like it. Like suddenly you see a spike in popularity for a certain product among a specific persona.
Exactly. You can react quickly and capitalize on those opportunities.
Powerful stuff. The article mentions an example of how a company used these insights, right?
Oh, yeah. There's this one retail company. They used machine learning and a CDP, and they uncovered this fascinating pattern. Customers who bought these high-end electronics, well, they often started browsing accessories within 2 days of their purchase.
Really?
So, armed with that knowledge, they created these targeted email campaigns offering relevant accessories to those specific customers. Guess what happened?
I'm on the edge of my seat.
They saw a 25% jump in cross-sell revenue.
Wow. They were able to like anticipate a need before the customer even realized they had it.
That's the power of predictive analytics. And we can also use it to predict churn risk, which customers are most likely to leave, or even forecast demand so you can plan your inventory better.
Amazing. So much potential already. But we've got one more step, right? What takes predictive personas to that next level? You know, the really futuristic stuff.
Hold on tight. Step 3 is where we bring in the big guns, generative AI, or Gen AI.
Gen AI. Now that sounds familiar. That's what writes poems and creates those crazy cool images,
It
right?
does all that. But Gen AI can also supercharge this whole predictive persona thing. We go beyond just understanding what those personas are right now and start predicting how those personas will evolve in the future.
Wait a minute. Are we talking about predicting the future of customer preferences?
That's exactly what we're talking about.
How is that even possible?
It's all about feeding these AI models massive amounts of data, not just purchase history, but market trends, emerging tech, cultural shifts, you name it, even looking at similar personas in other industries.
So we're talking about looking at the bigger picture and then zooming in on how those broader trends might influence individual customers.
Exactly. And here's the key. It's always learning. Gene AI keeps refining its predictions as new data comes in, creating this dynamic feedback loop.
So it's like these predictive personas are almost like living, breathing entities constantly evolving as they interact with the world.
That's a great way to put it. The article mentions companies that are using super advanced dashboards to visualize this persona evolution. One company, a CPG company, they even have a timeline view showing how those persona traits are expected to change over time.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. So we've covered all this incredible tech, but what's the real impact? Why should our listeners care about any of this? Okay, I think I'm starting to get the big picture here, but honestly, I'm still wrapping my head around what this all means for businesses. Like, why should our listeners care about any of this predictive persona stuff?
Well, think about it this way. Imagine being able to create marketing campaigns that are so on a point, so perfectly tailored to your audience that they practically guarantee success. Not just today, but months or even years down the road.
Okay, now that got my attention. So no more of that, like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing as sticks approach to marketing.
Exactly. Predictive personas give you the power to target the right people with the right message at precisely the right time. More effective campaigns, higher return on investment.
Any marketer's dream. What else? I mean, what other areas of business could benefit from this?
Well, how about product development? I mean, wouldn't it be amazing to actually know what people are going to want before you even start designing it?
That would certainly save a lot of time and money.
It would. Predictive personas can help you anticipate those needs, spot those emerging trends, create products that people are actually going to buy. No more products gathering dust on the shelves.
Okay, so we've got marketing, product development, but it doesn't stop there, right?
Nope. Think pricing strategies, operational efficiency, even expanding into new markets. You can make those data-driven decisions across your entire business, all based on a deep understanding of how those customer segments are evolving.
So it's like having a roadmap to the future of your business.
Pretty much. But it's not just about the bottom line. What are the most powerful applications of this technology is enhancing the customer experience.
Okay, how so?
Think about it. You can craft these hyper-personalized interactions that make your customers feel truly seen, truly understood, like you really get them.
And that leads to happy, loyal customers. That makes a lot of sense. The article actually mentions some really interesting case studies, right? Like specific examples of how companies are putting this into practice.
Yeah, it does. There's this one company, they were having real trouble with customer churn, people leaving. But they use these predictive personas to identify those at-risk customers, and then they proactively reached out to them, sometimes with special offers or maybe just additional support.
So they caught them before they jumped ship, basically.
Exactly. They turned a potential problem into an opportunity to strengthen those customer relationships. And then there's another company, they used predictive personas to zero in on their most valuable customers. The ones who are likely to spend the most over their lifetime.
So they could focus their energy on nurturing those relationships and providing an even more personalized experience.
It's all about understanding your customers so well that you can anticipate their needs and exceed their expectations.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. I have to admit, I was a bit skeptical at first, but I'm definitely seeing the potential now. Predictive personas really could revolutionize the way we do business.
They already are. And the best part is, we're really just scratching the surface here. As AI technology gets even more sophisticated, the power of predictive personas is only going to grow.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah.
So what's our next step? What should our listeners do if they want to learn more, maybe start implementing some of this in their own work?
First, I'd say don't be intimidated by all the technical jargon. The article does a fantastic job of breaking everything down, explaining it in a way that anyone can understand.
Right, it's all about getting a handle on the basics. What else?
Just start thinking. How could you apply these concepts to your own line of work? Whether you're in marketing or product development or anything else, Predictive personas can give you a real edge. And if you're already using a CDP, take a closer look at it, see what kind of machine learning and predictive analytics tools it offers. You might be surprised by what's already available to you.
Great advice. Well, deep divers, it's time for us to wrap up this exploration into the world of predictive personas. But before we go, we'll leave you with one last question to ponder. If you could predict the future needs of your customers, what would you do differently? What amazing things could you achieve? That's something to think about. We'll be back next time with another deep dive into the world where technology and human behavior collide. Until then, keep exploring, keep those questions coming, and keep on diving deep.